Hi there, everyone. I hope that all of you fine people are f nice and well. And yeah, after a small unplanned summer hiatus, I'm back. Hope that you're as excited as me to explore some more aviation topics in the upcoming weeks. And today I have planned for you to go through what will be expecting you most likely in the upcoming future, probably as long as midterm future as it looks right now, if you are planning to fly either out of necessity or leisure, whatever runs your way. And so today I'm going to talk about what you should expect as a passenger. So I'm going to go through different points, step by step to get you sorted. So check it out. Now, first and foremost, as a kind of disclaimer, I have to mention, of course, above and beyond all other points, that of course the health is the most important issue. So, first of all, I would say that before you even entertain the thought about traveling by airplane or any other means, there are two major questions. One question is your health. How do you feel comfortable or not going out there and having the potential risk of contracting COVID while traveling, which of course, the more you are exposed to other people and even maybe other countries, other cities, of course, the theoretic probability rises. And secondly, the health of the other people around you, from fellow passengers, from cabin crew, from just other people in cities or places you visit. If you may, as you know by now for sure from what's going on around the world, of course, if you could contract the virus, probably maybe would be asymptomatic, wouldn't know that you have it, then of course you could also have the danger to pass it on to others. So while that's up for everybody to decide on his or her own. That could be even a video that I might be doing in some point in the future about traveling and the health aspect of it. But that's as a disclaimer that I would say that's first and foremost, of course, something that you have to answer for yourself. I won't do it for you, but be aware of that before continuing to the next points. Now, if you do decide, okay, I'm going to take it on, I'm going to travel, then first thing you should take on is the regulations of the different countries, the country you are flying from and the country you're arriving. You should have a look at that. They're readily available in the internet. And yes, the rules might change quite quickly. So that's very important so that you actually can fly and can be on board and in all safety because after all these rules and regulations, even though they are not streamlined that much yet globally, they are after all for our safety. So first thing, check the regulations. Now, supposing you have done that, then probably you would have seen by now that in the vast majority of the countries, uh, testing for COVID tests, negative COVID tests, right before the embarkation on the plane are necessary to be held, or at very least, they will ask you to fill out forms that you have not been in areas that are of high risk. On your arrival, before the embarkation to the plane, as well as before you come back and the return flight, mostly you will be required to do that. So if you are not comfortable to do that, if you're not comfortable to take into account to make COVID tests before flying, before undertaking your travel, that might be an issue for you. So, but once you look at the regulations of the country you're flying from and the country you're flying to, yeah, you will most probably see that in quite a lot of cases those will be required. So that's the second point, the testing for COVID and having a negative test. So let's assume you have done all that research. You have continued your planning for itineraries, for different precautions, and you have gone through the points that we have been discussing until now. Then you will most probably be ready to look for the flights and to book. And once you're doing that, you're going to see that actually, because of the regulations ever changing at a quick pace, situation in the countries can change. So the prices actually might become cheaper, more closer to the actual departure date, which is actually against all principles of flight planning in the past, but that's what it's about. So you should plan as well nowadays to have a little bit more patience. And actually, for those of you who want to travel or who need to travel more short term, in some cases, actually, it might be much cheaper to book more or less last minute in the last weeks before, 1 or 2 weeks before the actual departure date than it used to be before. So now let's assume you have found your flight, you have found your travel that you would like to book, and you want to book it. So now comes a special tip for you. Book it if you can with a credit card, one of those useful items of modern payment. If you don't have your own credit card, try to borrow one from someone because this can actually protect you from airlines who, between your booking and the date of travel, might go bankrupt or even, well, cease to function. So then if that happens, or if you have to get the money back because flights have been delayed or canceled altogether, then booking by credit card is one of the most efficient and secure ways that you will get your money back, as most of the credit cards have a chargeback function that might take a little while, but it's, as I said, most secure and functions very well. So once you have booked it, then you're planning your journey. And yes, as you might understand by now, from regulations, possible COVID testing, your journey might be quite longer than what you were used to before COVID. So it means you would have to get much more in advance to the airport. You will have probably a bit bigger lines at security. And yes, you might have to even come a night earlier if, for example, a COVID test is needed. So you would sleep in a hotel, which then, if it's at the airport hotel, probably will look more like a hotel like this. So all in all, you would have to not only calculate a little extra time in order to come in advance, make a COVID test, maybe sleep over a night around the airport or in the city where you're flying from. The same goes for, of course, when you go fly back, maybe. But yeah, you might have to, because of the hotel and because of the extra time, might also have to calculate some extra expenses in that way. So once we have gone through all that, let's go through a resume of the step-by-step approach of flying during COVID in these times. So as we have learned, the first point would be the regulations. Have a look at the regulations of the country you're flying from and the country or countries you're flying to, and be aware of the caveats that you have to fulfill. Second of all, one of the centerpieces of the aforementioned is COVID testing. Mostly you will be required, if not just to fulfill out a form, you will probably be required for a lot of different destinations to have a COVID test before every flight, before your flight there and before the return. Third of all, short notice booking as something that we have not been used to before COVID. Nowadays, because of the ever changing, fastly changing regulations of the different countries, actually also the prices can get noticeably cheaper also closer to your departure date. So actually take that in mind as well. fourth point, book with credit cards, just so that you're safe and sound. If something goes south, if your booking in the end cannot be fulfilled, the airline doesn't fly, you cannot arrive, you have to change the booking or cancel your flight altogether because of COVID, then with credit card bookings, you will get the refunds most safely and easier than maybe in other cases. And fifth and last point would, of course, be the longer journeys that you will have to expect. Because of these extra regulations, maybe extra checkups, COVID tests. COVID tests might require you to come to the airports many hours before, depending on your departure day and departure time. Especially maybe you will have to, if the airport is not very close to where you live, you might have to plan an extra night at or around the airport. So expect longer journeys. With that being said, again, I think flying is possible with all what you have seen, with all what you have to take into account. I think flying is possible. I will probably do some flights in the next couple of months until the end of the year and hope to report from those back to you. And yeah, but in the end, as I said in the beginning, that's all up to anyone personally to decide. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed that video and hope to see you soon. Read your comments, click like and subscribe if you liked it. And yes, be in touch with you in the next video. Bye bye.